Tonight, the dangerous and fast-moving winter storm slamming the east as a surge of Arctic air sends temperatures plunging. Cars spinning out, a snowplow slamming into an SUV. While in Milwaukee, this car sent dangling over the highway edge. Snow blanketing states as far south as North Carolina. Bill Cameron's tracking the next wave of storms from coast to coast. Also tonight, the powerful earthquake rocking Japan. Security cameras capturing violent shaking. The quake sparking the massive fire as the region braces for aftershocks. Hollywood battle the new hostile takeover bid for Warner Brothers as Paramount goes to war with Netflix over the prized movie studio. Luigi Mangione's life on the run, images of the accused killer's to-do list released, and new details about a gun magazine he had wrapped in underwear. The new video just in, a small plane landing right in the middle of a busy highway. What we're learning. New footage emerging of a Waymo car illegally driving around a stopped school bus. The company says it's recalling software, but lawmakers argue it doesn't go far enough. And fan editors go pro the TikTok creators hired by Hollywood to promote new movies to Gen Z. We'll explain. Plus, burglars targeting the dead. How thieves are turning obituaries into opportunities to break into homes. Top story starts right now. And good evening. It's not officially winter yet, but for millions of Americans, you wouldn't know it just by stepping outside. Tonight, a dangerous snowstorm is slamming parts of the East Coast as Arctic air brings record cold temps. And this is just the beginning. A wave of brutal weather is right behind in Waukesha, Wisconsin. A major highway there shut down for hours after this snowplow and SUV collided. Right now, hundreds of crashes reported across a number of states. Slick conditions leaving this Tesla stranded on a highway in West Virginia. The snow stretching from Kentucky all the way to eastern Virginia. We have images for you tonight. All the way down to Greensboro, North Carolina, with some places across the country seeing nearly a half foot of snow already. And it's not just impacting the roads in Chicago, planes stuck on the tarmac as crews work to quickly de-ice them as they get ready for takeoff. Right now, 11 million Americans are under some sort of winter weather alert, but that number could grow in the coming days. As I mentioned, it's not over yet. Our Bill Cairns is standing by, tracking a parade of storms expected to impact millions from coast to coast. But we want to start tonight with Adrian Broadus in Chicago as the cold weather takes hold.
Tonight, a surge of Arctic air blasting across the mid-Atlantic. A series of storms dropping rain and snow. In Waukesha, Wisconsin, I-94 shut down for hours after an SUV rear-ended a snowplow driver. In Milwaukee, a highway crash during the morning commute left this SUV close to going over the wall. No injuries were reported in either incident. The icy wet mess closing schools. Virginia slammed with up to 5 inches in parts of the state.
It's coming down pretty hard. All the schools are closed.
Winter alerts in effect for 11 million people from Montana to Michigan. Parts of Tennessee saw up to 2 inches of snow. Here in Chicago, temperatures below freezing today.
We've gotten lucky the last few years, so it was definitely something that was bound to happen.
In Colorado, nearly 70 avalanches have been reported since Friday.
We're still seeing a lot of the state, especially that central and northern mountains, sitting at considerable avalanche danger.
And in the Pacific Northwest, heavy rainfall turning deadly after a woman was killed over the weekend in Washington state when a tree fell on her car. The wintry mix causing a mess at some airports, grounding planes and delaying flights, turning the gridiron into a field of snow this weekend.
We are going to get a lot of snow this year. I can feel it.
Back in Chicago, the bitter blast could be a sign of the season ahead.
So we better get used to it.
All right. Yeah, better get used to it there. Adrian Broadus joins us now. Adrian, you guys have not gotten a break there in Chicago. It's been so brutal, and we can see all that snow on the ground.
Yeah, you can see it, but we've had a break previously. But so far this year, 17 inches of snow has already fallen across the city. That's nearly the same amount as last year. And that's not all. These below freezing temperatures, Tom, are expected to last through the night into tomorrow morning. So if you have to be out, make sure you bundle up and your body is covered, because even seconds, minutes exposed to the elements could trigger frostbite. Back to you.
All right, Adrian Broadus, get inside so you can warm up with the crew as well. Let's get right to NBC News meteorologist Bill Cairns tracking all this. It's cold, there's snow. Sure feels like winter, Bill.
And this is ridiculous in Virginia, too. I mean, Richmond now has another 5 inches of snow on the ground, the second snowstorm in a week. That's more snow than Boston, New York, Philly, and D.C. combined this winter so far. And it's even snowing right now in Virginia Beach, of all places. So the cold morning tomorrow, not record-breaking, but you're going to feel it. I mean, we're going to be 19 in Richmond, even Tallahassee, 36 degrees. It's a quick warm-up, brief, but quick warm-up tomorrow afternoon, just about for everyone. Will melt a little bit of the snow. But the next storm is already on its way. We're going to watch it tomorrow into the Dakotas, Minnesota, Minneapolis, northwards to Duluth. We're going to be shoveling inches of snow once again, and eventually this will make its way to the Northeast. Everyone in white has a chance of at least an inch of snow. The blue is 2 to 4 inches, and you notice areas, Tom, near the lakes, of course, they're going to get higher amounts. A pretty good little snowstorm over the next couple days.
And then, Bill, this is just the beginning, right? A parade of storms. We're going coast to coast with this one.
Yeah, this pattern is set up where we're really watching the start of this in the Pacific Northwest. Look at all the white clouds. This is the moisture. We call this an atmospheric river. It's heading into the Pacific Northwest. They are in for some serious rainfall, like maybe historical rainfall over the next week. It's pouring already from Portland northwards to Seattle. In the next 2 days, some of those mountainous areas could get up to a foot of rain. If we take this storm and add the one we're expecting Thursday and Friday, we could see some areas getting up to 20 inches of rain. We are already seeing the snow levels melting, the heavy rainfall. We're already expecting, Tom, major river flooding in the Pacific Northwest. When we say that, that means that we're going to have roads washed out, water into homes, businesses, towns. The Pacific Northwest is preparing now.
Okay, Bill Cairns, I'm sure we'll keep an eye on it all week. We thank you for that. We're following more sort of severe weather and things happening around the world. A massive 7.6 magnitude quake rocking Japan, triggering tsunami warnings and evacuation orders for tens of thousands. And the epicenter not far from the site of that devastating quake in 2011. Here's NBC News international correspondent Janice Mackey-Freyer.
The powerful earthquake sparking fires near Japan's northern coast, shaking buildings, causing alarms to ring and homes to sway, triggering tsunami waves and panic. The full extent of the damage and injuries still not clear. The magnitude 7.6 quake putting communities on alert up and down the Pacific coast. 90,000 people urged to evacuate to higher ground, and many did. Japan's Prime Minister Sanai Takeichi saying the government is putting people's lives first. Officials said there were no problems so far at any of Japan's nuclear sites. The earthquake hitting just north of the devastating magnitude 9.0 quake and tsunami back in 2011 that damaged a nuclear plant and killed nearly 20,000 people. Japan, in the so-called Ring of Fire, has 3 times more earthquakes than California. Officials are bracing for aftershocks, but say the tsunami warning is now lifted.
All right, Janice Mackey-Freyer joins us tonight live from Beijing. Janice, so great to have you here. We know that the region is on edge tonight. There are still threats of aftershocks?
Well, Tom, already there have been milder aftershocks, but officials have warned very publicly there's the possibility of earthquakes that could be more powerful in the days to come. So they're urging people in nearly 200 communities all along that Pacific coast to be prepared. And given Japan's experience, the country has a very high level of preparedness for earthquake disasters. There are building codes, tsunami warning systems, alerts for even mild tremors, much of it coming out of that tragedy in 2011 with the massive quake and tsunami that wiped out entire communities and destroyed the nuclear power plant at Fukushima. So while all the tsunami advisories for this earthquake have been lifted for now, people are being urged to remain alert and to be ready. Tom?
Okay, Janice Mackey-Freyer for us. Janice, thank you. Back here at home to that major shakeup in Hollywood, Paramount launching a hostile takeover bid for Warner Brothers Discovery, meaning it's going to directly go to the shareholders to try to buy the company. Just days after Netflix beat Warner Brothers, in a bidding war. NBC News entertainment correspondent Chloe Malas has this one.
Tonight, a plot twist in a Hollywood blockbuster deal. Paramount home to the CBS network and marquee franchises like Top Gun and Star Trek, making a $108 billion hostile takeover cash bid offer to buy Warner Brothers Discovery in full to head off Netflix's purchase of Warner Brothers Studios, HBO, and HBO Max. Paramount Skydance CEO David Ellison on CNBC today making his case.
We are offering shareholders $17.6 billion more cash than the deal they currently have signed up with Netflix.
The offer from Paramount comes after President Trump said he would personally be involved in the decision on if the Netflix deal should be allowed to go through, and today said both companies' offers should be examined.
We have to see the Netflix percentage of market, Paramount, the percentage of market. I mean, none of them are particularly great friends of mine.
Trump saying he met recently with Netflix co-CEO Ted Sarandos before the streaming giant made its offer that would combine the home of Stranger Things and Bridgerton with Warner Brothers Golden Globe nominees like Sinners and White Lotus.
We should always live like this.
Today's move was entirely expected. We have a deal done, and we are incredibly happy with the deal. We think it's great for our shareholders. We think it's great for consumers.
Today, Warner Brothers Discovery said it will carefully review the Paramount offer and advise shareholders within 10 days.
Do you think it's going to get even uglier? Because this seems like it's getting pretty messy.
Depends a little bit on how Warner Brothers responds. It could definitely get uglier because it seems like Ellison doesn't want to go down without a fight.
Okay, the fight will continue. Chloe Malas joins us tonight live here in studio. So, Chloe, you've been covering this all the way. It's funny, the Golden Globe nominations come out, right? If you think about it, if Netflix and Warner Brothers and HBO Max were all together, they would take, I don't know if it's a majority, but they would take so many of the nominations. It points to the fact that people are saying, like, it's going to be a Goliath, and if you're a creative, it's going to be hard to get your thing sold.
I mean, I think that's why you saw the Directors Guild, Writers Guild, and SAG-AFTRA that represents all of the actors in Hollywood coming out so strongly against this. Because, like you said, Netflix receiving 35 nominations. Then when you add in Warner Brothers and HBO and the streamers, it's another 30. So, I wasn't good at math. That's why I chose journalism. But I believe that's over 60 nominations. You're right. I mean, that's a behemoth. So many are worried that this means that there's going to be less jobs, right? Less for people to watch, lower wages. And then it doesn't kind of bolster that competition that you want in Hollywood, right? Because Netflix, the studios, because they do create originals, then they're not as inclined to compete with Warner Brothers because now they own it.
Yeah.
But ultimately, this could mean potentially bundles, even if it's Paramount, Skydance, or Netflix for consumers at home, where maybe these streaming services being consolidated, maybe you'll pay a little less and then you'll get a little more. Or maybe, look, they've got to make their money back somehow.
Yeah.
On the flip side, you could see prices go up.
And they offer you more content as well. Okay, Chloe, thank you. I have a feeling we're going to be talking about this for a long time.
I think for like a year.
Okay. All right, Chloe Malas, we thank you for that. Next tonight, new evidence just revealed, in the Luigi Mangione case as part of a hearing to determine what a jury will ultimately see at his murder trial. Tonight, the officer who first searched Mangione's backpack testifying, telling the court she found a loaded magazine, a silencer, and a red notebook, which she called a manifesto. NBC's Stephanie Gosk was in the courtroom following it all today. Stephanie, what more do we know about the items found in his backpack?
Yeah. Tom, this officer said she found a wet pair of gray underwear that was wrapped around a loaded magazine. That was one of two magazines found in that backpack. Also in that backpack, a hand-drawn map of Altoona, Pennsylvania, which is where Mangione was arrested. It wasn't the only hand-drawn map. There was another one of the region that showed the cities of Pittsburgh, Toledo, and St. Louis on it. Also in that backpack, what the prosecutor described as a Faraday bag with a cell phone stuck inside. A Faraday bag blocks electronic signals. On top of that, we saw some images over the weekend of a USB necklace that was found on Mangione. We spoke to a former special agent for the FBI that said it appeared as if Mangione was trying to stay offline and off the grid and evade law enforcement for as long as possible, Tom.
All right, Stephanie Goss for us tonight. Stephanie, we thank you. We're going to head to Washington, the growing rift between President Trump and a faction of the MAGA movement. The president slamming longtime ally turned vocal critic, Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, over frustration she shared on 60 Minutes last night. Here's some of that interview.
I watched many of my colleagues go from making fun of him, making fun of how he talks, making fun of me constantly for supporting him, to when he won the primary in 2024, they all started, excuse my language, Leslie, kissing his ass and decided to put on a MAGA hat for the first time.
President Trump taking to Truth Social after that interview aired last night, writing in part, the only reason Marjorie Taylor Greene went bad is that she was jilted by the President of the United States. Certainly not the first time she has been jilted. Her new views are that of a very dumb person. That back and forth comes as the president faces mounting pressure on the economy and the affordability crisis in America from members of his own party and from voters. I want to bring in our political pros tonight. Hogan Gidley's a Republican strategist who served as White House Deputy Press Secretary during President Trump's first term, and Tyler Pager, White House correspondent for the New York Times. I thank you both for being here. Hogan, I'm going to start with you tonight. I want to play a little bit more from that 60 Minutes interview. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene further distancing herself from the president. Here's what she had to say.
I am America first.
And that's not the same as MAGA.
MAGA is President Trump's phrase. That's his political policies. I call myself America first.
But you're not saying you're MAGA.
I'm America first. Yep.
Is she right, Hogan? I mean, that's a pretty tough statement right there. She's essentially saying MAGA really means Trump first, not over America.
Yeah. No, that's completely insane. Listen, America first, MAGA, that is Donald Trump, and the policies he puts in place, the ones he ran on, the ones he won on, the ones that put the American people in the fore, as opposed to previous administration, which kind of put Americans on the back burner. This Trump administration continues to move forward with those policies. Marjorie Taylor Greene, for whatever reason, seemed to turn her attention away from supporting Donald Trump and away from the America First MAGA movement around the time that Donald Trump decided to bomb the Iranian nuclear facilities at Fordo. And that was what kind of was the catalyst for her to begin to pull back. She began criticizing his foreign policy, of course, his domestic policy, not to mention his work on closing the border and deporting illegal aliens and criminals away from this country. So this rift is just beginning, but I would imagine it continues for quite some time. I still don't understand what her angle is and what she's trying to do. There have been some reports out there that she's looking to run for president. Who knows? But at this point, there's definitely division between the two.
Yeah, well, Hogan, if you look at the sort of the polls and what American voters are saying, she's not completely off, right? When it comes to affordability and what Americans are caring about. Tyler, I want to talk to you about this. You know, the president's approval rating is pretty low. Recent NBC News poll found nearly 2/3 of registered voters, including 30% of Republicans, said that Trump has fallen short on their expectations on the cost of living and the economy. You see it kind of right here. At the New York Times, you've been tracking the president's approval rating, and you note there's been a dip over the last several weeks. Do you think this issue goes beyond Marjorie Taylor Greene? I mean, is President Trump actually losing a hold on his MAGA base? Because a lot of voters voted for Trump for two main reasons, right? Immigration. And if you voted for Trump on immigration, he has been delivering on that for you. If you voted on him for the economy and affordability, there's definitely a debate to be had.
Yeah, I don't think the president is really losing much of a grasp on his base, but I do think that the polling shows that some of those softer Trump voters, those independents who voted for him, particularly on the economy, have grown frustrated because of his stewardship of an issue that is almost always the most important to voters, cost of living. And as we've seen inflation persist, the cost of groceries, rent, utilities continue to go up. It's an animating issue for voters, and they're looking for immediate relief. And many of them feel frustrated by some of the Trump administration's efforts, chief among them being the tariffs that have raised prices for many Americans across different sectors. And so I think the decline we're seeing is not from Trump's base, but from some of those key voters that turned out for him and ultimately delivered him back to the White House. And I think, Tom, we're seeing that anxiety percolate through the Republican conference on Capitol Hill and from Republican strategists across the country who are growing nervous about the party's chances in next year's midterm elections.
Hogan, you got it on that point. You work with Speaker Mike Johnson. You work closely with the representatives in the Republican caucus, obviously. You got to be feeling some of the heat from voters. You got to be feeling some of the pressure. You got the midterms in a little over a year. I mean, what do Republicans do now, right, when it comes to this? Less than a year, I should say. What do Republicans do now when it comes to this affordability issue? Is there enough time on the clock to sort of get voters in check with what Republicans want to do and say, listen, we're making a difference. We're trying to make things cheaper?
Oh, absolutely. And look, Donald Trump has succeeded in doing that. There needs to be more of it, no question. But we were at at inflation rates around 9% under Joe Biden. Now they're at 2.5% to 3%, coming down exorbitantly. Money for gasoline is in better supply now because the prices are much lower too, averaging around $3 a gallon nationally. Some of these successes are occurring, but remember the one big beautiful bill that passed with no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, the largest tax cut in history, all of those things don't take effect until next year. plenty of time to have that conversation. But there's no question the American people need to feel the successes of Donald Trump's policies, and that will take some time. Donald Trump had an event today at the White House. He'd addressed this and talked about it, the affordability issue, front and center for a lot of these off-year elections we've seen now in New York and New Jersey, Tennessee, and other places. But understand this, and this will be the fight moving forward. New York, New Jersey, for example, they have the highest state tax rates in the entire country, for heaven's sakes. A lot of the things you're feeling from an affordability standpoint, whether it be housing or energy, comes from your state taxes. So you have to expose some of that. At the same time, you have to address what the American people are feeling nationally and work to not just alleviate their concerns, but show them even more significant wins that have already happened to make them feel more comfortable moving into the midterms.
Tyler, when we talk to voters and we ask them about cost of living, they point out three things, right? Usually grocery prices, health care, and child care. And there's a growing rift within the Republican Party on how to handle health care, right? It was at the heart of some of this back and forth during the government shutdown. Do Republicans have a path forward to show Americans, hey, we're trying to work on affordability when it comes to health care?
I mean, it's unclear, and I think it's the question that a lot in Washington are asking, Republicans and Democrats alike. The president is keenly aware that this is an issue that is animating to voters, and as these price hikes, when it comes to Obamacare, set in, we're going to see more frustration and anger from voters who are paying more each month for health care premiums. I think there are some Republicans and some Democrats trying to figure out a path forward, but it does not appear that there is a clear one at this point. A lot in Washington happens closer to deadlines, and as we see the funding fights continue, it's possible that we get some clarity, but as of this point, it's a big sticking point for a lot of people anxious about those healthcare premiums.
Yeah, Hogan, the president today invited farmers to the White House. He's rolling out a $12 billion aid program for them, paid for by tariffs. He's heading out on a tour of Pennsylvania to sell his economic successes, what he perceives to be those successes. What does he have to do to convince his base and voters across America, because I don't think it's only his base, that he's delivering on the economy?
Couple things here. First of all, pointing to the statistics, the data, the facts, but that's not going to win hearts and minds. He understands that, though, acutely, which is one reason he's taking his message out on the road to remind people what the media refused to cover. As I mentioned, the price for gas and for groceries is down. Interest rates are down. The inflation rate.
Right, but Hogan, like beef
down.
is up 13%. I mean, there's still a lot of things that are very expensive. I mean, childcare, still things that are very, very, very costly in America.
Of course they were. And I wish the left would have been concerned about this when it was skyrocketing under Joe Biden when they didn't care. Donald Trump is addressing these things head on. So it's incumbent upon him to get out there and explain not just what he has done, but what he is doing and will do in the future. That's why you're seeing him do what he loves to do and what he's really good at, which is go directly to the people, have this conversation, tell them where we were, where we are now, and how Republican policies were the one that began to chip away at all the failures you saw under the Biden administration.
Americans also have to feel it, but we will see how this campaign works in the next year. Hogan and Tyler, great to have you on Top Story. We thank you for this conversation. We're back in a moment with the disturbing burglary tactics. Families say homes are being targeted after they post their loved ones' obituaries. What you need to know tonight. Plus, growing concerns about Waymo's self-driving cars, the new videos showing vehicles driving around school buses, and the mounting calls for action. And a father and son left stranded in the Florida Everglades after their four-wheeler ran out of gas. We'll show you the high-flying mission to get them out alive. Stay with us. Back now with new video of Waymo self-driving cars appearing to drive around stopped school buses with lights flashing. On Friday, the company announcing a major software recall for its fleet of autonomous vehicles, but still lawmakers in Georgia are calling for more regulation. Investigative reporter Liza Lucas from our NBC affiliate in Atlanta has that footage.
Stop sign out. Lights flashing. A Waymo rolls past. 11 Alive obtained multiple videos showing the self-driving cars illegally passing Atlanta public school buses. The district reporting 6 violations to date. Between Atlanta and Austin, Texas, the cases are triggering federal scrutiny as Waymo continues expanding across the country.
One of my goals has been to make Fulton County and the state of Georgia the autonomous vehicle capital of the world, and we're well on our way.
Fulton County Chairman Rob Pitts says he's an advocate for autonomous vehicle innovation, but these incidents raise concerns. While the county has no regulatory authority over Waymo or Atlanta streets, Pitts says a temporary pause during pickup and drop-off times may be necessary to make changes and avoid a potential tragedy.
I think it's in everybody's best interest.
Late Friday, Waymo announced it will file a voluntary software recall in response to the school bus incidents. The company identifying an issue where the AV may initially slow or stop for a school bus, but proceed anyway. Waymo says a November 17th update has improved performance, and it's continuing to investigate and make more changes as needed. But Georgia State Senator Rick Williams says that's not good enough.
We truly and plainly can see them riding right past a school bus.
Williams is one of the authors of Addie's Law, which increased penalties for illegally passing a stopped school bus. He says he's drafting a bill to address oversight of AVs. But he's not waiting until the legislative session to demand change, calling on state and federal leaders to ground the vehicles now.
Complete stoppage. If there's an issue with them rolling past a school bus, and I see school buses out from 5:30 in the morning till sometimes 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. No, it's too dangerous at all hours.
Liza Lucas, 11 Alive News.
All right, still ahead on Top Story, the new audio of chaos inside the cockpit and off-duty pilot trying to turn off a plane's engines, saying he was having a mental breakdown after taking psychedelic drugs. Plus, the Supreme Court hearing arguments today in a major case testing the limits of presidential power. But first, Top Story's top moment, a couple taking their wedding photos and getting a true Boston moment on camera when a group dressed in Revolutionary War costumes ran up to photobomb them. Take a look. Passerbys who took the video told us that the group was on a Freedom Trail bar crawl when they spotted the bride and groom across the street, the bride calling the moment amazing and patriotic, I guess, too. All right, stay with us. More news on the way. We're back now with a major case that could shift the balance of power within the federal government. The Supreme Court today hearing oral arguments on President Trump's firing of an FTC commissioner without cause early this year. It's part of a larger push by the Trump White House to assert more executive power over independent federal agencies, firing Democrats leading the Consumer Product Safety Commission, the Surface Transportation Board, and the Equal Opportunity Commission. NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalas joins us tonight in studio. Danny, the Supreme Court already signaled where they stand on this issue by deciding the FTC commissioner can't remain in office, right, while they hear her case before the court. What can we take from the oral arguments today?
Yes and no on the stay issue. When it comes to things like temporary stays, those are mostly to preserve the status quo. But you are right that at oral argument, I think we got a preview of where the court is leaning. On the one hand, Slaughter, who is seeking to be reinstated and challenge the executive's firing of her, is arguing that there are cases 100 years ago that say that these independent agencies are lawful exercises of Congress's power. But the Trump administration argues, on the other hand, that since that case was decided 100 years ago in the Supreme Court, the FTC is now a different creature. It is an executive creature that wields executive power. And for that reason, the president must be able to exert his own control over that. And these congressional creations of independent agencies may violate the Constitution.
But a ruling in the president's favor could still put some limits on him, right?
Absolutely. There are a couple different ways the president can win. The Supreme Court could broadly overrule a very old case called Humphrey's Executor and say that from here on out, the president has absolute control over all these different agencies. Or they could say, just based on these facts and the FTC itself, then what it is today, because it's evolved since 1935, now the president can fire someone from FTC, but maybe not with the other agencies. Maybe there are factual distinctions with the other agencies that allow Congress to continue to legislate in this area.
All right. We'll keep an eye on it. Danny Savalas, we thank you for being here tonight. And out of the newly released video and audio recordings revealing the terrifying moments in 2023 when an off-duty pilot attempted to shut down the engines of a plane mid-flight. The never-before-seen video shows the pilot describing his mental breakdown after taking psychedelic mushrooms. Here's NBC's Tom Costello.
Arriving at the gate in Portland to a heavy police presence, Horizon Airlines Flight 2059. Off-duty pilot Joseph Emerson in custody. 2 minutes earlier.
What's wrong? He said he was having a mental breakdown. He was
You want to be home?
The cockpit voice recorder captured the pilots reacting as Emerson, riding in the jump seat, tried to shut down the plane's engines in flight in 2023.
What's going on? It's Horizon 2059. We've got a jump seater. Just try to shut our engines off. We need to go direct to Portland now.
NBC station KGW obtained the recordings and video of Emerson in a police car.
Were you trying to kill yourself?
Zero.
I was trying to wake up. Trying to wake up because I don't feel like this is real. I didn't feel like it's real.
Emerson told police and the court that he'd hallucinated after taking psychedelic mushrooms 2 days earlier and hadn't slept in 40 hours as he struggled with depression. Last month, a federal judge sentenced Emerson to 46 days already served and supervised release.
I want to be accountable, but am I going to be forgiven for being so stupid?
Emerson is now an advocate for pilots' mental health, hoping to remove the stigma so pilots will seek help. Tom?
All right, Tom Costello for us. Tom, thank you. Now to Top Stories news feed and an update on the investigation in that shooting of New York Jets cornerback Chris Boyd. Law enforcement sources tell NBC News a person of interest is in custody. They said they were apprehended in Buffalo and are now being questioned. Boyd was shot in the abdomen last month outside of a restaurant here in Manhattan. Investigators still trying to figure out a motive and whether Boyd was targeted. And dramatic new video just in of a small plane crash landing on a busy Florida highway. You can see the plane laying there in the median of the I-95, disrupting traffic in both directions. This happened in Cocoa Beach, east of Orlando. Fire officials say the small plane hit a car when it crashed, leaving one person with minor injuries, but it appears neither of the two people on board were hurt. And a terrifying train collision caught on camera, police releasing footage showing a car stopped on the tracks near Chicago, then a commuter train slams into it, sending the vehicle flying backwards and scattering debris. Police say the driver was taken to the hospital but only had very minor injuries. And a surprise guest making an appearance at a Christmas parade in Tennessee. Look at this black bear just strolling down the parade route as people watch from the sidewalk. Here's another angle of it getting close to the crowds before eventually running off. This happened in Friday in Gatlinburg, a small town which might sound familiar. It's seen a number of close encounters with bears in recent weeks, which we've reported here on Top Story. Okay, turning now to a disturbing method thieves are using to target homes, and this time it's not via high-tech solutions like Wi-Fi jammers, but an old-fashioned technique right out of your local newspaper. Liz Kreutz on the obituaries that could turn homes into targets.
From the security video, this looks like a typical home break-in. You can see an alleged thief walking up to a house near San Jose, California, and then hours later walking out the front door carrying a safe. But the family that owns the home believes it was chosen for a unique and disturbing reason. John Tuttle says 2 days earlier, his family had posted an obituary for his mother-in-law who lived there in the local newspaper.
To have this happen to her home after her death, it's just adding insult to injury.
Tuttle says the thieves used an axe to break into a sliding glass door, making off with sterling silverware and the safe, which was empty. And they're not alone. Last month, this woman says one day after she posted her father's obituary, burglars targeted his home.
It's vile. I feel very violated.
In Detroit, authorities say this man pled guilty to using obituaries to find his targets, telling NBC News they identified him after luring him to a home using a fake obit. And in New York, a woman dubbed the Obit Bandit is currently serving an 11-year sentence for targeting half a dozen grieving families while they were away at funerals. Experts say criminals are putting a new spin on an old tactic.
It's easy to look in the obits and see, oh, this person had money. But now in the age of internet and AI, you can go in their social media. You could target what's in the house.
All right, Liz joins us now live. Liz, we've seen thieves use high-tech and low-tech methods in these recent break-ins. What do experts say you can do to make your home less appealing?
Yeah, Tom, well, the one theme through all of this, as we know, is that thieves like to try to come to your home when no one's there. So particularly in this case, that is why thieves are drawn to deceased victims, because they believe there's a higher chance that that home might be empty. So what experts say is you should really try to make a home appear lived in. Leave a light on, keep the blinds open, maybe park a car in the driveway, and also try to install an alarm system. And as he talked about social media, he was saying this is an old tactic, but also they're kind of putting a new new twist on it, which is that any of that information in an obituary, all of the family names, that is information that a thief can use to Google you, look you up, look at your social media, and get clues and tips and insight into your home, where you live, and what kind of items you might have in a house, Tom.
All right, Liz Kreutz for us. Liz, thank you. Now to a dramatic rescue caught on camera in the Everglades. A father and son stranded after their ATV ran out of fuel. Their joyride taking a frightening turn with a chopper coming to their aid. George Solis has the details.
Yep, I got hands up waving. Roger.
A high-octane rescue of a father and son in the Everglades, caught on camera. Watch as police spot the pair who were stranded in a preserve. The video showing the dramatic moment they were hoisted to safety. It all started after a ride on an ATV took a turn.
My four-wheeler ran out of gas. We got stuck in a mud hole.
Out of gas and out of options, they called 911.
We're just here stranded, pretty far and almost out of water with my son. We have no food and no water, no flashlight.
The father telling the operator the pair burned through their gas as they tried to get out of the thick mud.
He lost his shoes in the mud, too, so we're barefoot.
You can see the fire they started to stay warm.
But the sun's going down and the alligators are hungry, buddy.
That fire helped the Collier County Sheriff's Aviation Unit find the pair and pull off the high-stakes rescue.
Definitely clear of obstacles, but we're good right here. They're not spinning.
We got the call. It was about 30 minutes before sunset. And when the sun goes down in the middle of the Everglades, you need to get people out.
The father and son were both okay.
All right, George Solis joins us tonight from Miami. So, George, that father's quick thinking really made a difference in the situation.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Tom. And the sheriff credits them for starting that fire. Not that they advocate for people doing that, but in this very particular scenario with them losing light, having that fire and then using the helicopter's thermal imaging to spot them, certainly crucial. Some other tips from the sheriff's office: if you're going to go that deep into the Everglades, make sure you have enough water, make sure you have enough snacks, and definitely bring a battery charger. In that very specific scenario, they were running low on battery. So being able to make that 911 call, very crucial to this successful recovery. Tom.
All right, George, thank you. We are back now with Top Stories Global Watch, and we start in Thailand, launching airstrikes along its disputed border with Cambodia. The new fighting is testing a fragile ceasefire brokered by President Trump, you may remember. Both sides accusing the other of breaking that truce agreement that the country signed a few months ago. Officials saying this latest round of clashes has killed at least one Thai soldier and 4 people in Cambodia. Okay, moving on to Brazil now. Massive rescue operations there today after a building collapsed in Rio. Here you can see crews digging through the rubble, searching for survivors. So far, officials say they've rescued 17 people. Most had minor injuries, but 6 were taken to the hospital. It is unclear if others are still missing, and no word yet on what caused the collapse. Workers at the Louvre in Paris officially voting to go on strike. Employees saying they're protesting working conditions, higher ticket prices, and security weaknesses, highlighted by that daytime heist of more than $100 million worth of jewels. But that's not the only issue at the Louvre right now. We just learned that hundreds of books and other works were damaged last week when a pipe burst because of flooding. Back here at home to the case of a man mistakenly declared dead. A federal government mix-up costing his family thousands of dollars in medical bills after the mistake led to his insurance getting canceled. And as NBC Washington consumer investigative reporter Susan Hogan found out, problems like his could be even harder to prevent and fix going forward.
Walk through any cemetery and the headstones and markers tell so much about a person's life, when they were born, when they died, and often how they'll be remembered. But I want you to take a look at this one in particular. This is Alan Mitchell's final resting place, and his widow said it's okay for us to be here. I want you to take a look at this, his date of death, March 10th, 2025. But here's the thing. According to the government, he actually died 3 months before that. So let's just say his death has been complicated.
He loved his daughter so much. He was just a loving father.
For Margaret Mitchell and her 2 daughters, this will be the first Christmas without their father and husband. The man who adored cars, motorcycles, his pet parrot, and his favorite recliner where he rooted on the Commanders.
Every morning, he'd sit out here at the kitchen table and I'd fix his hot tea for him and he'd say, "I love you."
Last year, Alan was diagnosed with kidney failure, requiring dialysis and other procedures.
Even on days when he wasn't feeling well, the nurses would say, "How are you doing, Mr. Mitchell?" And he'd say, "Great," like Tony the Tiger.
Alan was covered under Margaret's government health insurance, but last December, the couple visited their local Social Security office so he could also apply for Medicare B since he was authorized for coverage due to his kidney disease to help with upcoming treatments. That's when they got unbelievable news.
She said, your husband's shown as being deceased in the system.
What was his initial reaction when he hears that?
His eyes just got big as saucers, and he pulled his mask down. He said, I'm right here. I'm alive.
Very much alive, and no one could tell them where the mistake happened, but they assured them things would be fixed. But months later, things only actually got worse. Alan's Medicare B application was denied, and his health insurance under Margaret's plan was canceled.
It was a nightmare. I never tried so hard to get this straightened out.
And without health insurance to cover it, Margaret says she was spending thousands of dollars out of pocket.
They were threatening to stop his dialysis, and I said, no, you will not. I said, just bill me. I said, he needs this to stay alive.
I don't know that anybody knows for sure where the errors happened.
Claire Green is very familiar with these kinds of life-altering mistakes. She's the former Social Security Advisory Board staff director, which released a report back in 2019 showing 7,000 to 12,000 people are mistakenly declared dead each year. The SSA told the I-Team its records are highly accurate and that of the 3 million deaths reported to the agency each year, less than 1% have errors.
Social Security has a ton of workloads, more than they could handle.
Where do the errors with the death master file fall in terms of priority?
On a day-to-day basis of just trying to manage workloads, I can't say that it's a high priority.
I'm not sure it still is yet corrected.
For 4 years, Darby Nye has dealt with a domino effect of being declared dead. He says it impacted his credit, health insurance, and pension. Darby, when was the first time you were declared deceased?
November 15th, 2021.
Spending hours and hours on the phone with agencies to prove he's alive.
As far as IRS is concerned, I am deceased.
Now, with thousands of staffers being cut at the Social Security Administration this year with buyouts and retirements, Darby worries mistakes like his might not be a priority.
It may linger in some ancient computer system on some drive somewhere and may never actually get resolved.
I think that losing the number of experts on these issues is really difficult. The research staff is critical to being able to understand, how the issues, how these happens.
But Green says she thinks this problem is fixable.
The board made a pretty bold move in 2019 in their report saying, you know what? SSA should be out of this business. Give it to somebody like Treasury that has more expertise.
In 2023, the Treasury Department was granted temporary access to the SSA's death master file to reduce fraud and improve the program's integrity.
They're working and concentrated very much on, trying to ensure the integrity of the data that they are collecting. So I think there's some hope there.
But for Margaret and her family, the focus has now changed.
I've got well over $15,000 in bills.
That you don't think that you have to pay or should?
No, I don't think I should have to. They should be penalized.
Unfortunately, while trying to correct her husband's death status with the Social Security Administration, Margaret lost the love of her life. Alan passed away at home.
And I knew if the tables were turned, he'd do the same for me. He was my soulmate, and I miss him.
And our thanks to Susan Hogan from our station, NBC Washington. When we come back, a look at the cherished tradition in college basketball that's bringing a new meaning to Silent Night this holiday season. Stay with us. Finally, it's college basketball's Silent Night, a sold-out game that starts in total silence. But within a few buckets, this Taylor University tradition turns into a college basketball moment like no other.
A sold-out night of Indiana basketball might seem raucous.
Taylor students will remain quiet.
But at the start of Silent Night at Taylor University,
The only sound you hear is the squeak of sneakers on the court.
Students getting ready to erupt for that 10-point.
All is calm. That is, until the Trojans score their 10th point. That bucket sending costume-clad students flooding onto the court. Some dressed as pharaohs, the Flintstones, even Pickles. A madhouse, as if they had won it all. The colorful holiday tradition started at the Christian school back in 1997, always on the Friday before finals week, always awaiting that 10th point.
I would say we're celebrating a semester lived well. The whole university is there. It's unreal.
A way to blow off steam and appreciate a moment of unity. Culminating with a rendition of Silent Night, sung together, arm's length.
This is a very simple thing that I think inspires people and reminds people of how fun and how great people can be.
For these students, a reminder that silence, together, is golden. All right, that does it for us. Thanks so much for watching Top Story. I'm Tom Llamas in New York. Stay right there. More news on the way. We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.